Hello, welcome to Everything is Spooky in the Dark, the podcast for WanderingCrystal.com. I'm your host, Crystal, and today we're going to be talking about why people believe in ghosts. Today's podcast is going to be a little bit different than normal. With spooky season quickly approaching, I wanted to do a bit of a Halloween special. Instead of my usual dark history travels based on places I visited and the dark history behind these sites, I wanted to dive deep into the history and science behind why people believe in ghosts. I love all things paranormal. I love listening to ghost stories, watching ghost hunting shows on television, and I make sure I take a historic ghost tour in any place I'm traveling to. I write about a lot of haunted sites on the Wandering Crystal blog. Everything from pubs being haunted by pirates, to castles and fortresses being haunted by Vlad the Impaler, who is the inspiration for Dracula. I love it when real history has a dark twist. In a lot of these places, the dark history creates an almost spooky or macabre atmosphere that you can feel the moment you step inside. I always get so excited hearing about the history of some of these places, knowing that the tales you're about to hear occurred in this exact place. With my obsession with ghost tours and learning dark history, and with Halloween coming up, which is the best time of year because everybody else seems to embrace the spooky stories too, this made me wonder, why do people believe in ghosts? Ghosts and their ghost stories have made their way through history, appearing in literature throughout the ages, such as Hamlet's father's ghost in the play by Shakespeare, or the Headless Horseman in the legend of Sleepy Hollow, to the ghosts that haunt the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Ghosts have been prevalent throughout stories through history. So where did these ghosts come from? I know that throughout history, before television, books, and movies, communities would gather around and tell stories that have been passed down through families for centuries. Many cultures also have certain death rituals and follow religions that teach people that family members who pass on are going to a better place, but are still around. They may still visit and watch over you, and this provides some comfort. And some people are scared about their own mortality, and the idea of an afterlife and spirits lingering around can help remove the fear of death. Like with Ouija boards, they were created by a toy company and they were advertised as, and I quote, "a marvelous device that answers questions about the past, present, and future with marvelous accuracy," and promised never failing amusement and reaction for all the classes, a link between the known and unknown. These mysterious boards were exciting and eventually led to the belief that the boards gave people an opportunity to speak to the dead. During World Wars, the popularity of these boards would rise as people wanted to speak to those family members that didn't return home from the war. So I read somewhere that these boards were seen as a threat to psychic mediums, and they passed on rumors about how these boards were actually the products of evil. And eventually, Ouija boards became associated with demons and spirits that are trying to trick you. Even today, if you talk to anyone, a lot of people, even those who do not believe in ghosts, will not touch a Ouija board out of fear. So there is actually a science behind how Ouija boards work, and it's called the ideometer effect, which is basically just a way for your body to talk to itself. Essentially, it's just an unconscious and involuntary movement caused by the body. A similar movement is called a hypnic jerk, which is when you're about to fall asleep and you're suddenly jerked awake. For me, it feels like I'm about to fall. So that's a similar movement. So when you're yelling at your friend saying, "Are you moving the planchette?" when you're playing with the Ouija board, and they say no, it could just be your body that's making these tiny reflective movements, or it's both of your bodies. So for me, I've visited and studied more haunted and historic sites in Europe and North America, where about half of the population believes in the existence of ghosts. However, the belief in ghosts is far more widespread in Asian countries. In Japan, for example, they have houses known as stigmatized properties. These are places where someone has died and the rental brokers are required to let potential renters know about the death that occurred within the dwellings. There's a Japanese comedian named Tanishi Matsubara, and he said that according to Japanese mythology, ghosts will return to haunt the living if they died a lonely death, killed themselves, or were murdered. He seeks out these stigmatized properties as they're cheaper to rent, and he says that they provide comedic stories about the strange things that happen to him while he lives in these properties. Once someone rents a stigmatized property, it doesn't have to be listed as a haunted property when the next person rents it, so I find that quite interesting. I wonder why they believe that the ghost is no longer a problem for the next tenants. New Orleans in the United States is similar. As I was walking around, I noticed many signs available for rent that had either haunted or not haunted signs with the rental agent's contact information. I think it's kind of cool when a city or a place embraces the haunted or not haunted thing, like with New Orleans. I just find it fascinating and kind of makes it a little more exciting if you think that you're going to be renting a haunted place. Other reasons that people believe in ghosts is that we're looking for explanations when weird things occur. If you see a shadow or hear a strange noise, our brains try to make sense of what it was. If we can't understand it, sometimes our thoughts go to the idea that it could be something from the beyond. Another thing is, have you ever noticed a pattern in a floor tile that kind of looks like a face? Or if you're cloud watching and the clouds turn into something that you recognize? There's the science behind seeing faces in everyday objects. It's called pareidolia, and it's a psychological phenomenon that causes people to see human characteristics in objects. For me, I often see a log or a sign on the side of the highway as I'm driving up to it, and I always think it's a human before I get closer to it. But then once I'm close to it, it's like this giant human. And for some reason, it always scares me thinking that there's a human just standing on the side of the road. So I'm always relieved when it's just a log or a sign. But yeah, if you are noticing like a pattern or human characteristic in some sort of pattern, it's easy to, see a shadow from far away, think it's a human. That's another reason why people might believe in ghosts, is because of this psychological phenomenon. Another reason is that there are a lot more shows on TV and on YouTube where you follow ghost hunters. You follow these people who have this ghost technology like spirit boxes and EVP recorders, which open up communication with the dead. The idea of haunted places and haunted objects become real through these investigations, and more people nowadays tend to believe in the paranormal because of these shows. But what about all of these dark shadows and disembodied voices and eerie feelings you get in certain places? Well, another reason that people may believe in ghosts is if you're told the place you're in is haunted. If people experience anything unusual in these locations, they generally believe that they're supernatural experiences. So the more aware you are, or even the more you're seeking it out, the higher the chances are that any one of these noises or shadows will make you believe that it is supernatural. I took a ghost tour last year with a paranormal investigator here in Canada. Her name is Morgan Knudsen, and she had an interesting theory about why people are haunted. So she thinks that some people are, if they're in like a state of depression or they have something bad happening in their lives, they're on the same emotional or energetic level as some of these like ghosts or demons, I guess, or some of these bad energies. So she said that if someone is being haunted, she believes that they need to fix something in their personal lives. The paranormal activity will just go away. She does believe in ghosts though, and she says that she's had experiences, happy experiences with spirits, like connecting with a happy little girl ghost. So I don't know. I kind of like her idea and her theory that it's just an energetic plane or an emotional level. So I don't know, but it's quite interesting. For me, I love haunted places and ghost tours, especially when they have real history. There are only so many The Lady in White ghosts that one can take. With places that have a dark history, like in the Edinburgh Vaults, I thrive on the stories and spooky atmosphere that they bring to a place. So I find these scary stories of ghosts to be thrilling. I kind of explain it that in the same way, someone who gets adrenaline from jumping out of a plane or rides the scariest roller coaster at the amusement park, I get my fun, thrilling adrenaline by visiting haunted places. When I visited the Museum of Fear and Wonder in Alberta, the owner Brendan showed me a supposedly haunted dollhouse. This little dollhouse that, due to age and pieces falling off of it, made it kind of look like a little jack-o'-lantern. Brendan told me that this house had given all of the previous owners weird ghostly activity. They all reported that a little girl would be seen standing at the edge of their beds during their possession of this dollhouse, which really creeped me out. However, Brendan said that he doesn't believe in haunted objects, and that they haven't had any weird activity since they put the house in the museum, which is I found quite fascinating, although I'm not sure what is exactly attached to the museum and if there's a house there that they sleep in, because there's a section, if you ever visit the museum, there's a section there that you can't go into, so it could be where they sleep. I have no idea. But it is quite fascinating that just because he doesn't believe in haunted objects, he hasn't witnessed this little girl apparition, but everybody else had, and I'm not sure if those people also believe in ghosts or not, but it's quite interesting. So those are various reasons about why people believe in ghosts. So it could be religion, culture, it could just be people that are scared of their own mortality and they want to feel better about the thought of an afterlife. Or it could just be you see weird things and you just can't explain them, so your mind just goes to supernatural. It could also be things like sleep paralysis. That's something where you're asleep and you wake up but you can't move, and your mind can play tricks on you and you can see these like scary ghosts coming towards you, or like night terrors. You're asleep and you're seeing these horrifying things. So it could be a number of reasons. It's a completely personal thing whether you believe in ghosts or you don't believe in ghosts. So for me, I love the thrill of being in a spooky place that's rumored to be haunted. I love hearing the scary stories about the people who are known to haunt these places and the possibility that we might run into them that evening. So even though I love all of this stuff, I love ghost stories, I love spending time in haunted locations, I will seek out haunted hotels and spend the night there, I still don't really believe in ghosts. And I can't really explain it. It could just be because I'm not religious, so I don't believe that there is an afterlife where these spirits haven't crossed over to, or because I feel like I need more proof. When you hear my ghost story, I have a couple. I think I'm only going to tell one today, but if you hear it, you might think that's proof enough, but for me, I'll explain a bit more after. Another theory that I have of why I don't really believe in ghosts is that it could just be me sort of like protecting myself. So if they do exist, they just can't get to me, so I can enjoy the thrill of visiting these haunted places without actually being haunted, but just being scared in the moment. And then when I go home, I do have to sleep with the light on for a few days, but that's the thrill that I like. That's what I like, and then I just want to leave it at that. So I do feel like that even though I don't believe, there is at least the possibility that ghosts exist. So who knows? The one ghost story that I'm going to tell you is sort of a segment of 3 different experiences. Only one of them is by me, but they tie in together. Just because this is real life, it's not like a congruent story that provides great storytelling, but it's quite interesting. So my sister used to live in this house in Edmonton, a townhouse, and I remember I was babysitting my nephew, and I don't think I'd been in this house before. But I had fed him lunch and it was really messy, so I cleaned him up with a face cloth. And then in this townhouse, and in most townhouses in Canada, the laundry room is downstairs in the basement. So for some reason, I couldn't even go near the basement door, and I have no idea why. There was just something about the basement door that freaked me out, so I ended up throwing the dirty cloth just at the door from the kitchen, at the basement door from the kitchen. And then I left it and nothing weird happened, but I just found it quite interesting after all of this happened that I was kind of scared of the basement. Another time when I was in this townhouse, my sister's, she had just had her second child. I had been up overnight with her at the hospital as she was giving birth, so I was quite tired as well. But I said that I would watch her son. My nephew at this point was 2, but I was quite tired as well, so I turned on the TV, I turned on Teletubbies while I was watching my nephew, and I kind of dozed off because, again, I was up overnight as well. Even though I wasn't giving birth, I was still quite tired. And so I had fallen asleep on the couch, and I could hear somebody saying my name. And I could hear them saying, Crystal, Crystal over and over again. And hearing my name being called woke me up because obviously somebody was calling my name. I thought it was my sister. When I opened my eyes, you know that when you first open your eyes after sleeping, your vision can be blurry? For me, my vision was blurry, but I saw standing right in front of me was this really, really, really tall man with really long black hair, and he had on a trench coat, just like a brown regular trench coat. And he was just staring down at me. I couldn't see his face, it was just blurry, but it was weird. So I closed my eyes and I opened them again, and I had clear vision, and he wasn't standing there. There was nobody there. My 2-year-old nephew, however, he was just staring at me with this look of fear on his face, but he was 2. I can't remember how much he could talk. Back then it was the year 2000, so I went up to my sister. She was upstairs in her bedroom, and I asked her if she was calling me, and she said that she wasn't. So I thought, okay, that's strange, but I never thought about it again and never mentioned it again to anybody. Until one day my sister's boyfriend had mentioned that he heard laughter coming from the basement. He was sort of into this, like, the occult or checking out haunted stuff. He was really, really into it. So anyway, he went down into the basement and he said that he saw 4 ghosts. He saw 2 women. He saw a man that was stuck in the wall just behind the washing machine. And then he described the 4th man, and it was the man that I'd seen. I didn't say anything to anybody. It was a little bit weird, but it definitely freaked me out a little bit, but not enough to say anything to anyone. That was until years later when I was talking to my mom about this place, and I told her about the story, and she said that she had a weird experience in the house as well. She said that she was sitting on the couch reading a book to my nephew, and there was a picture of a man in the book, similar to the man that I saw, similar to the man my sister's boyfriend saw in the basement. And my nephew pointed to the picture of the man and said, "That's the man. That's the man." So my mom didn't really think anything about it. She didn't know about my story or my experience, and I'm not sure if she knew about the ghosts in the basement that my sister's boyfriend had said he had seen at that point. But she said that she heard a noise coming from the basement, and they ended up leaving, and that was that. So who knows? Who knows what happened there? But yeah, it was quite interesting. So these 3 sort of stories connect to this one man, although the book and my nephew pointing to some man that kind of looks like him is, I guess it kind of connects it. But yeah, just the idea of these 3 separate stories sort of connecting this one man kind of makes you wonder if maybe what I saw was real, but because I didn't really see it with clear eyes, that's why I still have doubts. So, but it's weird. It's a really weird occurrence. Also, there is this haunted place in Edmonton, the McKay Avenue School, where I visited once. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it is quite a weird occurrence as well. But I did visit the school once by myself, and I was the only one on the 2nd floor running around taking photos. And one of the photos that I took, it's a case with some sort of suit in it, like a Canadian, something probably relating to the war or something. And in the glass, there was nobody else. There was nobody behind me. There was nobody else upstairs. But in the glass above the flash that I took, you can see like sort of the outline of a man. It kind of looks like his shoulders and his head. And I just find it really weird because it wasn't my body, because where the flash was where my head was, and it was above the flash. So yeah, that photo it's quite weird. I can't explain what it is, but if you want to check it out, I wrote a blog post about an Edmonton ghost tour. So if you search my blog for Edmonton or Fireside Ghost Experience, you'll see down, if you scroll down to the McKay Avenue School part, you'll see the picture, and tell me if you think that you see a man as well, because yeah, I can't understand it. I can't explain it. I don't understand it. I've been back and I've taken photos of the same thing and nothing. So who knows? It's interesting anyway. So why would somebody who doesn't believe in ghosts want to go on ghost tours? For me, it's fun. It's thrilling. I love hearing the history. I love being scared. I love knowing that I'm safe. So it's not like walking down some dark alley kind of fear. It's fun fear, if that makes sense. It's like the adrenaline, again, from the roller coasters or bungee jumping. So that's kind of a reason why some people who don't believe in ghosts go on ghost tours, is because it's fun and it's exciting and you learn about history. So even though I have had experiences and I do seek out haunted hotels and haunted locations, I still have doubts. I guess because I feel like I would need more proof, not just catching, a shadow out of the corner of my eye or seeing some sort of man when I first wake up and my eyes are still blurry. But I'm happy with the experiences that I have, and I don't want the proof. I'm happy with just going to these places. I don't want to have more proof. I don't need to be turned into a believer. It's just too scary. Because I have heard that some skeptics, if they work at a supposedly haunted location, or they spend a lot of time in these places that are rumored to be haunted, they turn into believers. I said it's too scary and Siri went off, so that really scared me. But anyway, that's it. That's a reason why some people believe in ghosts. It just depends on your culture, your religion, or any sort of experiences that you've had. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, I definitely recommend going on a ghost tour because it's so fun and you learn so much, and it's just a fantastic night out, whether or not you believe you're being watched by the ghost in the corner.